Okay, like I was saying before the alarm went off, we're going to prime. We're going to set up B. So you've got A running, and we want something to run on B. So here it is, piggyback. Okay, doctor wants antibiotics in. It's compatible with normal saline, but the rate is going to be too high to run it with this. Okay, so we can have it in the same tubing, but we're going to have to leave it on piggyback, so this will run in, and then we can go back to have this. So, so this antibiotic is going to go at, I'm going to say, 500 cc's an hour. Not that we get antibiotics that go in that fast very often, but that's what I'm going to say. And we have 250 in the bag. That tells me it's going to go in over 30 minutes, okay? And I do have chemos that run this high. And so I have to put a piggyback because I can't run it concurrently because it can't go any higher than 500 with both combined bags. You see what I mean? This infusion rate and this infusion rate have to add up to 500, can't go over 500. Okay? So I can start that, and it's going to say A is delayed and B is pumping. Something I want you guys to remember is don't walk away from your pump. Oh yeah, I got it all set up, boom, you're out the door. You don't know that that pump is doing exactly what you want it to do. You have to give it a chance to calibrate and do what it's going to do, and you have to look at it. Make sure that that's flashing before you leave, because you could come back and find the whole thing sitting there.
Show me again what should be flashing that gives you the okay sign.
This little drip here should be flashing, and all this information should be showing.
Okay.
Okay? So now I'm going to stop this, because now he's decided it's okay. I'm going to stop all, because it's asking me stop all, stop A, stop B, or cancel altogether, and I'm going to stop all. So I'm going to go ahead and say start A only, and see how the light's flashing, and I know it's going. And then I'm going to go to B, I'm going to change, I'm going to go up here, I'm going to say change mode, so it can run concurrently with the normal saline. But watch, if I just leave it at 500 and try to start it, it's not going to let me do it. So I have to change that. So I'm going to, even if I went to 400, it's going to allow me to do it because the normal saline's only going at 100. So it would let me do that. See? It'll allow me to run a total of 500, but nothing above that for the two ports or sites. Okay, so now I'm going to stop that. Got any questions, Miss Ann?
Well, so when it's piggyback, it had one light on and then the other was flashing. If
it's concurrent, they're both flashing.
Right, but when it's piggyback, then, I mean, because is it possible for only be running B?
That's what it's doing.
Right, but I mean, and not have A come in afterwards.
No, the pump has to know that there's some volume on A.
Okay.
If your A is empty and the pump doesn't show any volume on A, it won't allow you to do anything with B.
Okay.
You have to have the main line in there, and you have to have fluids in it.
I see.
Because there is always a chance of getting some air down in here, and that's what it's not good. Now sometimes, okay, so, okay, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop this for a second. And I'm going to step over here.
It didn't stop.
It didn't stop, I know. Because it wants me to say which stop. See, you can't just push stop, because then it asks, what are you wanting to stop? Do you want to stop all, stop A, stop B? I'm going to stop B. Okay? I'm going to close it off. And I'm going to remove this one. Sometimes don't get too strong with it, because sometimes it's really hard to remove once you put it in there. Okay, so I would put my white port on there, which I don't have available to me right at this second. I would not leave this just hanging, and I would not screw it into some other side port that's on there. Here, actually, I can put this blue one on there and pretend it's a white sterile one, since we're not dealing with a patient right at this second. Okay, say I want to give a med on the secondary port with a syringe. Okay, And I know, let's say this is Protonics, because you can do that with Protonics. And it probably could go concurrent. Lots of times we do it piggyback. So I'm going to change it to the mode to piggyback. I know that I have 10 cc's in this syringe. And I know I can run Protonics over 3 minutes. But I don't know exactly the rate yet. So I'm going to go 3. And it's going to tell me it's going to run at 200 milliliters an hour. So then I can go ahead and run that at 300 milliliters an hour. Now I could run it concurrent, but once I make sure it's working okay, now I can leave the room and it'll finish, but it's not going to beat me back here. If I put it concurrent, once it's done it's going to beep, beep, beep until I come back to change it. So it depends. Do you want to be alarmed when this is done? You can run it concurrently. If you don't need to be alarmed when this is going to be finished, then you put it piggyback. Because then this will kick in once the piggyback's in.
So to switch it from onto piggyback or concurrent, you have to hit stop and then the B.
Right.
And then it was change mode.
Yeah.
And then
You
how
stop
do you
it.
switch?
Stop B. Okay. And we want to go into B. And so say I want to go to concurrent.
And
These
just-
boxes, this is program options, change mode, therapy, and then cancel back. If I decided not to mess with it, I could cancel back and restart B. Or if I wanted to change the mode, that change it to concurrent right there. Okay? You also have program options. Program options say, do you want it delayed for 20 minutes before this starts? Do you want to be called back? Then you have to choose and then you have to enter. Okay? I don't want to do that, so I'm going to cancel back. Okay? Therapy. Say there's a certain therapy I want on the second one, and it's got A through whatever, enter, out of place, albumin, acyclovir. You page down to get different options. Bleomycin, carboplatin. The one thing it doesn't have is rituximab, and that's what I always have to do. Okay, but it does, it gives you, you just keep paging down until you find the drug you want. So, like I said, rituximab, when I give it, I have to go under chemotherapy. And so I just page down one. There's chemotherapy. I enter chemotherapy. It asks me, do I want a dose calculation, a loading dose, or a multi-step? I want a multi-step with that one. So I choose that one. Do I want milliliters per hour? I mean, it gives you all these options. Do I want micrograms per kilogram per minute like you'd run dopamine? Do I want micrograms per hour? You know, milligrams per hour, not milliliters per hour, grams per hour. So it gives you all these options. But I choose milliliters per hour. So then I have to go down here and go, okay, I want 12 milliliters an hour. Oops, I'm sorry. For 30 minutes. And then the next step, I want to go 24 milliliters an hour times 30 minutes. So do you see what it's doing in there? It's telling me how much volume is going to infuse over that 30 minutes. And that's because rituximab is one of those drugs that you have to titrate per half hour, and you have to do the vital sign per half hour. So this saves you from having to come in here and punch the pump and raise the dose. It's automatically, I pre-program it before I start the infusion. And then I decided I don't want to do this, so I'm canceling back. So, so you've been working on the floor. You haven't been able to do IVs, but you've been watching them, right?
Right.
So what are some of the questions you come up against with, as far as watching the nurses start their infusions, or?
Well, when you have air in the line, like how do you
Okay.
get the air out?
So that's a good question. So here we're gonna put an empty syringe in here. Say I programmed there's 11 cc's in there and there's only 10, and then air gets down in here, and let's do this. So I'm going to start this where I left off. It's going to give me, it's going to eventually signal that there's air down in there. Oh, wait a minute. It says, it says proximal air back prime. So that's when it's going to give you that back priming option. It doesn't give it to you all the time. Then you're going to back prime, and it's going to come up from this bag up into here to help clear out that air. And then once you see that it's just nothing but normal saline coming up in there, you can stop, and then you can start everything again. I'm just going to start A because, you know, B's obviously done.